Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are live. How's everyone on this Saturday morning? I've started a little early because I wanted to let you know the astrology and what's going on. So let you know what's happening with today. It's kind of sort of a getting more, the energy is getting more and more stronger. I hope I'm not overpowering or over loud this morning. But I'm going to finish up. I'm going to start with where it ended late in the evening last night. I'm on the East Coast, so it's Eastern Standard Time. And what took place around 10:35 last night. And we'll talk about that and what is going on now for today. It's still going to be all about the moon and what we feel is going to be sort of about our emotions and about love as well. It's this big, powerful day for that. So let's jump over into the astrology where you can see this was what was going on last night. Like I said, at 10:35 Eastern Standard Time. You'll have to adjust it to your time, okay? Because I don't know of everybody's time. I don't know what's in everybody's chart. I don't know. This is for collectively. So when you look at the houses over here, you see it starts with Aries here, but you know what your sun sign is or your ascending. You can follow it either way, but it would be, remember, the sun is the first house. It's the sun you were born under, where the sun was at the time of your birth on the horizon. What's on the horizon is your ascending, is what you will display out. So if you are a Leo, then that would be the first house. This would be the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and going all the way around to where Cancer is would be your 12th house and what's there. Now, another thing I want to say here, just because there is nothing in certain houses, like with Gemini, Leo, Virgo, and Aquarius, this often happens, okay? But that doesn't mean that these planets, the rulers, are not in a different location and having some aspects. They're still having some energy they're putting out there. Hold on one second. Okay, we're back. Now, like I said, we had at 10:35 last night Eastern Standard Time, we had the Grand Triumph, which you can see that's going on here. Trions are energies where it shows your creative self-expression. It can bring ease and comfort, so something can be missed. But it's all about productivity, vision, and insight. Having an insight of something here that you could be very proactive or being productive in some way in your life, but you could miss something of an opportunity while you're being proactive if you don't pay attention to your insights or to a vision that you have. And all this, like I said yesterday, all this is centered around Vista. You can see it's all coming into Vista. Being active, being productive. That's what Saturn requires. You have to work for something, and everything's not just given. You may face some limits. Maybe the limits aren't too bad, and you have a good chance of getting something accomplished here if you keep your focus on what it is you are going to be devoted to. Okay? Now, what happened also last night was that the moon here has moved, while it's still in this conjunction, it had moved into Scorpio. Now, what rules Scorpio? Scorpio is ruled by Mars, which is the driver, okay, or the vehicle, our actions we take, that we plan to take, or what we've done, and it's over in the 9th house. For some of you, if you're a Scorpio, this could be the 2nd house. This could be concerned about your possessions, your value, your worth, your self-worth, possessions you have, things you might need to get accomplished, or you have a goal or a plan here, or you're devoted to something here. Something about your actions in your life, because the sun is about life. It illuminates. The moon and the sun are the illuminators. Sun gives life. The moon is our emotions and how devoted we are in our life and what we are devoted to. So, I don't know where this would be for you in this, but it is dealing with Jupiter. So the sun and Mars being in the house of Jupiter that controls it, and Jupiter being in that 2nd house right now for Aries, it is about self-worth and values. And it's in Jupiter's in this triumph with Mercury. Now, we all know Mercury's fixing to go stationary. I just made a little mark down there, and I didn't mean to. But we have Jupiter, or Mercury, that is fixing to go stationary. And it will do so on the 12th before it goes retrograde. But let's go back to the moon right now and focus on it, because Mercury has been in its shadow. It's been difficult. But it's right there with the midheaven, something about 8 being new beginnings, new life in your life. But it's thinking of new beginnings. But there's an opposition here with Mercury as well, with Vista. What are you devoted to in your life? So we got to think about that. Where are we at in this point in time in our life? Are we going to college? Are we going a new job? Are we considering maybe doing something different? Because Mercury's going to go retrograde, and it's going to reassess things in your life and actions maybe you've taken in the past. Maybe you've got to sort some things out. But again, Mars being the ruler of Scorpio, and the co-ruler being that of Pluto, being direct, moving forward. Pluto at 28 degrees, it's like it's done its cycle. All right? This cycle that it has been creating in this 10th house for so many years is now about to come to a completion. It's transformed things during those years that it's been there. Remember, Pluto comes in as a destroyer. It destroys things. It transforms your life in a major way. It throws challenges at you. It throws things as planets come in contact with it and conjunct with it. It affects each one of the planets during those years that it's come. You might have changed something in your life a few times. You might have changed your philosophies or your beliefs or your careers or your studies, whatever this may be, or it could have affected your reputation in some way. Because remember, the ascending stays here on the horizon. The midheaven stays here at this point. What's deeply rooted here, which is where your roots are at from the early childhood, is what is deeply rooted within you. And sometimes those roots have to be changed. Your roots change from one place to another. It's almost like, say you grew up in a hometown and you decide to leave that hometown. Guess what? You're uprooting your life and moving it and transplanting in another place, meaning you're going through a transformation. A career. Maybe you thought this was going to be a long-time career. Maybe you've done something different during the years, these years while Pluto's been there. You took action, good or bad. So, it's your life. You know what you've done here. But with these two planets now, with the moon last night moving into Mars, the house that Mars rules and that Pluto rules, all right, there's still going to be some transformation that's happening here. I'm just making sure my microphone is on. If I'm too loud, y'all let me know. So I'm just kind of going to where we were late yesterday evening. And I said this was going, if you watched yesterday's video, you will know that this is still occurring and happening into the morning. Because the moon was trying Saturn. The moon was also trying Vista, which I showed you that. So we still have the grand trions happening here with Venus trying Vista and the moon trying Vista as well. These two are going to come into conjunct as well. But something in it, and I know that with Mars conjuncting with the sun, there's something of people's, there's a lot of stuff coming out that we're going to have to process it, that's being revealed. And it may seem like things just are happening, especially with these mystic triangles. It's miraculously, mystically being shown. It's like people just can't believe it. Where is this coming from? And there are those that are doubters. They're not going to want to accept what is being revealed to us. And that's where knowledge comes in. But with what's going on in the early morning hours, and we start this on the 9th, the moon has moved there. It's at 1 degrees, and that was like at 1:33 in the morning. We still have this going on. Over the hours of the night at 3:57, we got another mystical rectangle. Now I want to show you, my time right now is 8:48, but I'm going to show you starting this out at 9:23 a.m. Okay? What is taking place? You are seeing 4 mystical rectangles here. And still the 2 grand trions. Still this thing, what are you devoted to? The energies, and you can see everything is lining up here because now the moon at this morning will be exactly conjunct with Venus. And both of these, the problem here, what's going on, is that the moon, I gotta have something to drink, you guys, is in a fall, and Venus is in a detriment. If a planet is opposite its sign of exaltation, which the moon is very much exalted here in Taurus, it creates what is called a fall or a dishonor in some way because of what is Scorpio. Scorpio is about secrets. If people keep secrets, that's dishonorable. We looking in the politics right now. A lot of this is coming out, and I don't like to get into politics. I'd rather stay in the personal, real world of everyday life. If people have been keeping secrets from you, if they have lied to you, if they have not really been devoted to you and misled you and misguided you in some way in their emotions to get their own achievement, it's going to show out. Because Venus is in detriment. Now, when a planet is in detriment is when a sign is opposite its rulership. Venus is in the opposition of its rulership. It rules Taurus, but the moon is exalted there, but both of them are opposite of that. Because there's an opposition of Jupiter being there. They're opposed to it being there, of Jupiter being there. Because number one, it's retrograde. And I'm telling you, there's something here that has to do. If you are a spiritual person, I'm gonna put it to you just straight as I can put it. Okay. If you notice a lot in Scripture, or if you are a spiritual person, a person of faith and religion, because there's a lot of different religions here. Everywhere you see in Scripture, it speaks about man. Man doing ungodly things. I can go to a verse right now that's telling you that men are doing ungodly things. Men need to become men again. They need to stand up for their families. They need to stand up as a man. Men have been not really men at all. They've been, I would say in a lot of cases, very evil. And this is what brought the world to an end at one point. And if men don't change their ways and do what is that we should do, or men should do, protecting their families, protecting their homes, standing up. And I see that there is a lot of men that's really coming to the forefront, and I am so happy to see it. That it gives me hope and faith that there are men out there who know there's a better way of life. And they stand up and protect their children. They stand up and protect their families. And if men don't change and don't stand up, there's a lot of them, like I said, it gives me still the optimism of having hope for mankind. I'm just going to say it. Because all of this has to do, as you can see, right here in this Grand Triangle, has to do with this moon and Venus. Both of them being, the moon being in a fall and Venus being in detriment, weak, negative, repressed. Because they're opposing Jupiter, expansion, growth. Because why? Because it's all going back to the keeper of the spiritual flame, which is, what is it that you are devoted to? Because Vista represents the sacred feminine creative energy that allows you to dedicate yourself to your aspirations, your plans, and your goals. And Vista shows where you have a nun-like, a spiritual-like, think of a nun in a nunnery. She is so devoted to her faith and to her God and her Creator. She has a total devotion to follow that kind of life. That takes a lot of strength. A lot of strength. And she's either devoted to the cause of the faith or a project, whether it be something with children or women or whatever it is, or her community or a person, or even that belief that is sacred. So where is the devotion? Got to ask that, because all of it has to do with Vista and Saturn here, the combined. And Saturn represents that where you learn to operate within the limits of society. You take responsibilities and you follow the rules. It's also dealing with fears and obstructions and limitations. The father, the teacher. Remember, Christ was known as he was called. He was called a teacher. Standing up for whatever you're afraid of. And overcoming the obstacles. The obstruction that is there. Standing up for what you believe in. Again, I'm saying it's there. Are you devoted to your family, to your home? I mean, you're going to have to see, each one of you are going to have to look at this chart and turn it to what your first house is. Pause the video, look to see where your sun sign is sitting at, and know that is your first house, and then count from there. And if you have any questions, put it in the comments below. That if you don't know what this house represents for you, put it in there and I will tell you. I will respond. I'll let you know. So, with that being said, we got over the Grand Triance now. Now, we've got 4 mystical rectangles. And they all dealing with, we've got Mercury, we've got the midheaven, what they call it's called the midheaven. We've got, again, Mercury. Mercury's getting ready to go stationary. And again, the midheaven. All dealing with Jupiter. In a trine to Jupiter. These two combined energies. And it's all dealing also with the opposition to the devotion. Goals. People. Beliefs. These two combined energies. Look at it. It's 4 of them. And it's all dealing with that vista. Working towards something. Now, what do we got? The moon, Venus and Venus. Let's talk about this a minute. This energy here, again, like I said, it's in a false. 5 is something that's got to change. Okay? It's, 1 second. When we're talking about a 5 degree, or the number 5, it deals with grace, it deals with gifts, and it deals with love. People are repressing their gifts, their talents, or they're repressing the grace, or falling from grace. People are denying the love. There are people out there that can love somebody and say, I don't care about that person. They're denying what they need. It's got to change. People have to have grace for others. And this energy is affecting, because what is going on here was exactly what I said. The moon is exalted here. And it's all going to this opposition to faith, to Jupiter. It's being illuminated. People's actions are being shown that there needs to be healing. They're showing they're ascending. They're not showing anything much of their personality, their true nature. And that's why I said something when there is that trine, something can be missed here about an individual or a person and what is going on in their actions. We've been lied to so much by leaders, lovers, all of it. And I can read to you right now what is going on in society, and it is true. It is actually happening. It is happening right here and now. And I've seen it. And it's got to stop. It's got to stop. There's got to be this change. We've got to show and not repress. We can't be jealous of one another. Don't be jealous of what your neighbor has. Don't be jealous of what somebody else is accomplishing. Get off your ass and do what you need to do in your life. Ask yourself, what am I going to devote my life to? What have I been devoting my life to? What is it I need to change in myself? Stop worrying about what everybody else is doing. Find out what you are devoted to. And this is a good time with Mercury going retrograde to take that chance of 8, which deals with new life, beginnings, resurrection. It is the hour that we turn our lives around, because Pluto has done what it's going to do, and that 28 has a lot to do with the sun and its cycle. You all may have heard that the intensity of the sun, that it goes to a peak, okay? That the sun will go through an 11 years, it will hit a peak, and then it will go on a downward spiral. You all have heard that when there's sunspots, the heat is going to be more intense, more solar flares. We've seen this happening. Just one happened recently in the news. This coming year, the sun is going to reach its peak, its intensity. And we just so happen are going to have a solar eclipse in 2024 in April the 8th. Now, if this isn't something that's really talking about new beginnings, new life, I'm just saying, it's going to happen. And it's going to cross that path of that last total solar eclipse that happened, I believe, in August of 2017. I remember when it came right through my state, and I'm standing there watching it. And what happened and transpired in my life for the next 7 years. That I had been in darkness. I had been in hell. Now it's a new beginning for me. It's a new life for me. And this solar eclipse is going to cross that path. And we'll see it. We'll talk about it when that time comes. But now we're looking at the trines of what Venus and the moon here, trine Vista, which is retrograde. You better reassess what you're devoted here for the future. And Mercury, take this opportunity because it's in opposition to Mercury and the midheaven. Think about where you are in your life right now and where you plan to devote your life to. It's time to rewire our thinking. It's time for us to wake up, because sextiles, like I said, it's an opportunity for productivity. What is the triumph? Productivity. It's a vision. It's an insight to see something here. And being proactive. And the sextiles show that opportunity for productivity and success. What are you going to devote your life to that's going to give you success? And it's the mental attitudes being activated. Stop repressing your gifts. Stop repressing the grace. Have grace, have empathy, have compassion. Not envy, jealousy, secretive. That's not going to get you anywhere. You're just going to be known as a liar, a deceiver. That's what you want to be known as. Ruin your reputation. That's up to you. You make the choice. But this can be overcome if you change it. If whatever you're devoting yourself to. This is all water, element. It's the heart. Believe you me, our Creator is checking each one of our hearts. He knows what's in our heart. He knows if your heart has been one of those sort of soils. Is it a stony heart? Is it a... I don't have a scripture right in front of me right now, but there's 4 types of personality. There's 4 types of the heart that just passes things by. You don't have empathy for nobody but yourself. Believe you me, there are people out there that have no empathy for nobody but themselves. How many years, and I'm sure there's a lot of you that can tell me, how many times have you heard people say, well, when is it going to be my time? That's somebody thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about their family. They're not thinking about their children. They're not thinking about their parents. They're not thinking about life, a good life. They're just thinking about themselves. That's why studies show that a lot of men don't want to get married anymore. Because too many women have been degrading men. And I can't blame so much because sometimes it looks like men are doing the wrong thing. If they're lying, cheating, and stealing, then okay, there you go. We need to be open and honest. Now, when I said about the sextiles, the mental attitudes being activated, you must activate it for it to work. And this is where, with Mercury and the midheaven sextiling Venus, because these 2 are coming into conjunction. These 2 already conjunct. There needs to be some expression here of honesty and truth. Don't be weak. Don't let yourself be repressed. Express what you need. If you need help, say it. And it's also about what our devotion is going to be to. I know where my devotion lies. I made that devotion many years back. So that is where I'm devoted to. And I made a promise that I would follow that devotion. And I'm trying my best. There's times when it's very difficult. Sometimes you got to be a warrior. Sometimes you got to stand up. Sometimes you got to hear as well as see what's going on, and you got to speak up. Happened to me yesterday. It's been a real rough week for me. Really rough. But I've had to speak up. I had to ask questions. I had to know certain things. The only way you're going to know them is asking. I kind of took a stand yesterday, and my mother was like, You just couldn't believe I did what I did, but I didn't have a choice. I had to do what I had to do. I was angry. And I know anger is not a good thing, but sometimes you got to stand up for what you believe in. And I had to do that. I had to take a stand yesterday, and I had to have the courage to make the decision because of what appeared one way, but was actually not what the other person thought it was. So I had to stand up for myself. Oh, well, get over it. It's the new me. I've changed big time. Now, like I said, we have the sextile here between this combined energy with Mercury getting ready to go retrograde and this combined energy, which is what? What did I say? The moon in a fall, meaning that it's exalted over here, but not over here. There could be some jealousy and some envy here. Don't let that take over on you. Don't let that turn the grace that's in your heart. Don't think you're not loved. Don't think you're not cared about. Because if I didn't care about anybody, I wouldn't be sitting here telling you this. Venus is in this detriment because it rules Taurus. Doesn't want to be over there in Mars's house where it's war and battle. Venus wants love. It wants to be loved. Doesn't want to feel weak, repressed, and negative thinking. And this is where you've got to activate your mind. What do you want for your life? Also, we have Vista or Jupiter in this sextile with Vista. What are you going to devote yourself to? It's time to make that choice. 2, being about union and division and doubling and dreams and confirmations. You need to reconfirm your devotion and your dedication to something here. To the dreams you have, the goals you have. Quit telling yourself you can't accomplish something. If you knew, I am 4'9", okay? I've had so many people tell me, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. And every time it's like I hear those words, it sets something off in me that says, don't tell me I can't do something. My mother was doing that to me yesterday, Oh, calm down, calm down. No. Sometimes you got to take a stand. And you've got to make this choice because this quincunx over to Neptune. You want your dreams? You want the divine to give you the gifts of grace? You want God's grace upon you? Then glorify Him. That's what I do. There's nothing more precious to me than God's love for me. And every morning we get up, we should glorify Him. Because if you read and you know Scripture, God only did to the Jews what He did because of what they did against Him. It was for His glory. And sometimes as a teacher, sometimes as a father, I have to teach. And believe you me, we all going to stand in judgment one day. So it's time to really, I don't know what your ascendings are. Like I said, I don't know everybody's chart. But I do know that we have to change. or humanity's not going to survive. We're not going to survive. I would rather live 1,000 years in peace and harmony than another day in hell. And if it means I have to say adios to people, okay, bye. Because I'm not going to put up with people coming in my life creating havoc and chaos. I'm not going to let people come to me and dictate what I can do and what I can't do. I live within the rules and the laws of society. I'm not out to harm anybody. I'm not out to hurt anybody. I want to help people. And yes, there may be some opposing views here. That's okay. I have no problem with that. But it's open for discussion. Not fighting, not wars, not battles. But when you do inhumane things to people, then you're wrong. You're wrong. I don't care. When your actions show that you are going against the grace of God and His glory, okay? And you don't want to show kindness to humanity because we all got to live in this. It's like if you took all these people of different religions and you put them in the same place and they have to live together. What's going to happen? They're going to fight at first because of their different values. But eventually they're going to have to learn to work together, to come together, knowing that each person has a different set of values. It's not for you to oppose on that value unless it goes against the rules or against the laws of society or even God's law. Which are very simple. There's 10 rules. The first 4 continue with Him. The last is for society. And if you follow those 10 laws, you're in His grace. What can come against you? Because you're protected in the armor of God Himself. Now, again, this, I will say, the moon, being here, is still going to be in this opposition to Jupiter. This is going to continue throughout the day. Okay? This is going to be the make it or break it. It's up to you. But it will ease off by nighttime. It still be there. I mean, but it's going to, 2 of those are going to be applied. We've lost 2 mystical rectangles because of the movement, and we've lost 1 of the grand triads. It's still there, though. And it's going to be a difficult time. You have to decide, what are you going to do? Tell you the truth, I'd rather follow God's law than man's law any day. And if God says I have to live by through these commandments, these 10 steps, I don't have a problem with that. Because I know His grace is going to be upon me. Now, I know a lot of people don't believe in religion. They don't, they're atheists. That's okay. That's a choice each of us have to make. But I'd rather live in having a lot more optimism and growth and learning and become a better person than to live in hell. Like I said, I would rather live eternity in peace and harmony than to live one more day in hell. And through His grace and following that, it will be in His timing that all things will be revealed. Believe me, you all, I have lived in it. And I had to, at times, rededicate myself to that spiritual flame and that devotion. And it's on me. It's not on him. It's not on my creator, my teacher. His word is there. It doesn't change. And his word is the way, the light, the truth. And I would rather live with the truth than live with a lie any day. Because then my mind gets sharper. When you have to keep telling lie after lie after lie, after a while, a person's mind becomes into confusion. They can't keep nothing of their story straight. And this mystical triangle is going to be mostly, as you can see here, with Mercury, Jupiter, Vesta, and Venus. Then it's the midheaven, Jupiter, Vesta, and Venus. The only thing that's changing here is having to deal with Mercury and the midheaven. Where are you going to be in your life? What direction are you headed? What is it you want? What is it you're fighting against? What is it you're not devoting yourself to? I mean, I've got a lot of stuff that I'm devoting to, and every day I'm having to pray and say, Lord, please, give me the knowledge. Give me the insight that I can face this day and make the right choices. He'll show you. Yes, but it will, whatever happens. And you might say, well, if people who want something right now, here and now, guess what? They're going nowhere. They're going nowhere. At one point, I had to wait 2 years for something here to be accomplished. And I was willing to wait and sacrifice, still trying to have the grace in me. But it happened. And the funny thing, it happened in the month that we often look to the time of resurrection. New beginning, regeneration, restoration. Don't tell me God doesn't show you things. Sometimes you just have to be patient. Even as they say, Christ was on that cross for hours and hours and hours. And even the words of him, why have you forsaken me? You didn't forsaken him. Because right after that, it was like, it is done. It's finished. Even he had to wait for death. Now, some people might think that's pretty cruel. But to be loved that much is unbelievable. But we have to make the choice. Are we going to bring the truth out into the light, or are we going to continue to live in darkness? I choose to live in light. I choose to live in the truth. I choose to live in that light, not in darkness. You never find your way around in darkness. This too shall pass. But it's about time for us to heal. Forgive those that we need to forgive and move on. Let those things go that don't mean nothing no more. And if you still have to do something here that needs to be corrected, then you handle it. You do it. You take it. You stand up for your rights. And you always tell the truth. Don't wear any mask. Let people see who you really are. They can either accept you or not. That's the problem. People are so worried about being accepted by others, to be in the inquiry. Why do you think all these riots or stuff are going on? Why do you think a lot of these younger generation are following these idiots out there? It's like the sheep going to the slaughter. Do you realize that these people, these young adults, have already began the process of destroying their careers in the future because they followed an idiot with a megaphone? Because they wanted to be a part of the crowd, the in crowd. Oh, we wanted to go to the riot. We wanted to believe this or believe that. They got no morals. Where is everybody's morals? Where is their better judgment? Just like in my day in the 60s when people were burning the flag. Don't think that it didn't come back to bite them in their life. If you were born in a country, it was your obligation for that on that land to have pride in where you're at, not to follow some idiot that doesn't talk about peace, that doesn't talk about we have to work together. Know your history. Be open to it. Know the facts. You're being lied to. And when you're being lied to, call it out for what it is. It's a lie. Politicians are going to lie to get your vote. Maybe that's why we don't need politicians in government. Too much corruption. It's too much temptation. Power is a temptation. People do stupid things. And I mean, really some dumb things. Don't be one of those people. Check yourself. What is your morals? What are your values? If, let's say, as a child is abused a lot. That doesn't mean that child has to grow up and become an abuser. No. I've seen where children have been abused and come out of that situation and have been someone who gives love because they know what that pain was of abuse. They've got better judgment than an idiot that goes out there and does the same thing that was done to them. That's why I always say, if your husband or your wife cheats on you, that don't mean you do the same thing that they done. Two wrongs don't make a right. Does it give you the authority or the right to go cheat on them and lower your standards? No. Where's your moral values? Better check yourself. And I'm by no means am I saying I'm perfect. I make mistakes every day. And every day I have to say, Lord, I'm sorry if I have done against you. Anything I've done against you and your teaching. And if I'm during the day, I make a mistake, I don't have a problem, admitting I made a mistake. Mistakes are made and that's a process of learning. But when you don't correct those mistakes or apologize for something where you were wrong and said, hey, I was wrong. I take the full responsibility. I was wrong. I'd rather be around people like that than one is like, oh, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I mean, there are narcissists out there that are terrible. I mean, it's time to wake up. It's time to come out of the dark and see something for exactly what it is. I'm not going to go into conspiracy theories, and I'm going to tell you one last thing before I end this. A lot of people will say, oh, doing astrology is witchcraft, this and that, okay? Well, this is my take on that. If you remember, there was an ancient tribe called the Magi, and they went looking for the new king of the Jews. And there was a star, and they knew that star was coming. And it was a message to them, and we need to look at it more of this way. God speaks to us through the signs, the movements of the planet. That's his language. Why would you want to learn something? It's a language. And they were spoken to. They were sent in a path, in a direction. It's not to be worshipped. It's not to give all the glory to the universe. No. It is a language of the Creator and the teacher for us to learn. Why do you think when a planet goes into a house, it starts out at 0? There was nothing. At one point, there was nothing. And then things happened. Then it gets to that 29 degrees, and it's time to depart. Time to leave it. Something you're in that house, in that area, in that sign has to be done. You have to look at something. And maybe you have to deal with something that is depressing, or you have to repress, or maybe that you have to work on where your weak parts are in love. Where's your weakness in love? Where's your grace? Check your heart. Maybe it's time you need to change your heart and your emotions and the way you feel. Because as long as those two are sitting in a place where they're in opposition and Jupiter's over there, Jupiter is the growth. And it's in opposition. And those two up there, the moon and Venus, is in opposition to growth. And growth does not happen at the snap of your fingers. I want it right now. It takes work. And sometimes something has to be shown. And if you're getting a message from your heart that's saying, you need to change. You need to stop being so negative in love. You need to stop being so weak in love. You need to have more grace. Be thankful for what you have. You got a roof over your head. You got food in your mouth, clothes on your back, a bed to sleep in. A lot of people don't even have a bed to sleep in. And you ought to give grace and thanks for that every single day. There are people out there who are robbing from the elderly. Shame on them. And we need to stand up about that. There are people out there abusing children. We need to stand up for that. There are people out there that are doing wrong to women. And there are women doing wrong to men. I'm not going to blame all of it on men. When you act immoral, then guess what happens? I choose life, and I choose peace, and I choose grace, and I give thanks. And I know every day, in some form or whatever, I will be rewarded. And at the end of my life, I will be adjudged according to what I've done. Just as each one of you. You can't sit in judgment of me, and I can't sit in judgment of you. And I don't. I just count for myself. And I know what I need to stay away from, and I know who I would like to have around me. People who support me as well as I support them in their endeavors. As long as they're doing the right thing. As long as they have that grace in them. I'm telling you, I've been around people that are just as crooked as can be and will lie and deceive. Now, who needs friends like that? Nobody does. Don't use people. Because what accomplishes that is you can't sit there and say you've accomplished something because you used other people to get there. If I can't achieve it for myself, then it's not worth it. You know, you go to get a college degree, right? You go to school, you go to learn, you get a trade. That's something you accomplish. You can't let somebody else go in there and get the grades for you. I mean, that's crazy, right? You've got to put the work in. You want a good career? Achieve it. Be dedicated to it. But if you got a family, they got to come first. Or not first, they come second. God always comes first. And whatever you need will be provided at the time when you need it. And when you get it, you need to glorify it. Like the cop told me yesterday, you have a blessed day. And I turned around and looked at him, I have a blessed day every day. I mean, that's the way I look at it. Every day is a blessing for me. I got a warning ticket, by the way. But he didn't know the whole circumstances. But like I said, I had to stand up for myself. He only saw a very small smidgen of what happened prior. So, and he wanted to act like a jerk. So I treated him like one. Telling me I had an attitude. I don't have an attitude. You're wrong in what you did. They're not perfect. And they're not always right. You come at me with an attitude, you're going to get one back. When I ask you a simple question, what did I do? And you can't answer me, but you got to be obnoxious. You just set the foundation for the conversation. Sorry. Because he felt to see what had happened 5 seconds earlier. And then he kind of broke the law. So, oh well. But I had a blessed day. Because I'm pretty sure he knew he'd done something wrong. That what he had done was wrong. So I will close with that. I hope you all have a wonderful, blessed day. Make it a blessed day. Walk in the light. Walk in the truth. Don't go into the darkness. Stay away from it. Stay away from liars, cheaters, deceivers that are only out for themselves. Don't let people use you. And believe me, don't ever feel that you can't change. Everybody can change. And it's up to them to do the work to change. And I want you to see in that opposition with Jupiter is at 6 degrees, and so is Venus. So somebody really has to change. People have got to change their heart. They got to change the way they feel. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I might not have all the answers. No, I don't. I might not be able to answer you, but I'll sure find the answer for you. But if there's any question about what house is what, and you don't know what it means, or where it's at, or whatever, feel free to ask. All you got to do is tell me what your sun sign is, your first house, and we'll go from there. Okay? Don't feel like, I'm not a person that will say, "Oh, y'all, please subscribe, grow the," I know I've said it, I want you to subscribe. I want you to know when I'm live. I want you to know that I'm here. And even when I'm not here, there's an email address you can contact me. Don't ever feel like you cannot communicate with me or that I'm not approachable. I will answer whatever I can answer. Okay? So with that, I will say, please have a blessed day. Look at where you're going. Ask yourself, what have you been devoted to? Where do you want to go in the future? Where do you want to be? How do you want to change your life? Focus on those things, not on the negative. Okay? Work toward a good life. Live a good, moral, just life. Be fair. Show empathy for another person, but that doesn't mean that gives that person the right to take advantage of you. You have the right to stand up for what you believe. And if it gets ugly, you have a right to walk out the door. You don't have to stand there and listen to a fool. Do the right thing. Too many people are standing around with cameras and videos taping something they know is what's happening is wrong. Put the frickin' phone down. Let people know you're doing something wrong here. You can handle it in a graceful way. Every day I ask God, give me the strength to endure another day in this crazy world. And He does. And He'll do the same for you. It's time we heal the wounds and not let the wounds overcome us or take over us. Don't play the victim. Don't be a victim. When you start standing in the light and you stand in the truth, you're not a victim. You have more strength than you know. And you can accomplish things. Don't let people tell you you can't do something or you can't achieve something. That is the wrong way to go. Okay? I love you guys. And like I said, you are free to comment below. Let me know what your first house is, and I will respond back. Okay? Y'all take care, and I will talk to you later. Bye for now.